Okay, we're on a roll here, so we're gonna do part 2 of the RAIN acronym tool, and this one is going to be the complicated version. So everything has rhythm and polarity, which means for me, the visual of a swinging pendulum is really, really useful across the board. So the other half of this RAIN acronym that I haven't shared before is the pendulum of each of these individual stages. RAIN was introduced in the previous video as recognize, accept, inquire, and nourish. Each of those letters correspond to a stage of our ability to respond consciously to a triggering stimulus. So let's start with R. R swings. We can recognize if we are in that conscious place to do that. And when we're not able to do that for whatever reason, we repress this thing that's happening. We tuck it down into our physiology because we don't want to think about it. We can't think about it. We don't have the headspace for it. We don't have the time for it. There's some reason that we just can't deal with this right now. So we repress it into our body, and we're not doing that on purpose. But recognize or repress. And so in order to get from that repressive state, we have to be willing to learn how to recognize these things when they happen. A stands for accept, and it swings into argument. If we're not accepting something, we're pushing against it. We're arguing with it. We are, for whatever combination of reasons feel important to us, thinking that this thing is inappropriate, this thing is wrong for me, this thing is not what I want, and we push against it and we argue with it. As long as we do that, as long as we keep pushing against that thing, we are stuck to that thing, and that becomes an adhesion. And that can happen energetically, that can happen physiologically. We develop adhesions with scar tissue, and when there's too many different loading patterns coming through an area and we get tight, and we develop restriction there. In order to balance that, in order to move away from that state, acceptance will release those adhesions. We identified as inquire. Well, what's wrong with inquiring? Absolutely nothing. It's really important. It's really important to do that work. Inquiry is actually the lower form of I. I swings up into intention. That is when we are able to now insert our higher, wiser, clearer voice into this underlying process, and we get to choose how we want this to go next time. We get to start putting some intention into our responsive capacity for this thing. And so when we figure that out, we start to level up. That pendulum starts to swing a little higher, and we start to bring energy into our frequency, our trajectory, our homeostasis. We start to build up. And that's how we nourish ourselves in this process, in standing for nourish. Nourish swings back down. Nourish swings back down into neglect. And neglect is not malicious. Neglect happens. We forget. But if you want these proverbial seeds to grow up big and strong and healthy, if you want your bodily capacity for calm and clarity and wisdom and peace and vitality, if you want to nourish your body's ability to access those states, this is a way to do that. This is a way to do that. And I think it's really fun to start to find that kind of clarity in your life. Because you feel better. Your inflammation goes down. Your energy balances out. You just feel better. I'm just going to say it. Be selfish with your life. Be selfish with your life. Take care of yourself. Be kind to yourself. Listen to what your body is telling you. Find a way to be lovingly responsive to your needs. And so that's the pendulum with all of this, is that it allows us to swing into this place of like, I matter. I'm smart. I'm important. But it's coming from a place that's built on self-compassion. And so it becomes a very pure selfishness, which can be a really healthy thing. Does that make sense to you? I like it when things make sense. Let me know what you think. Thank you.